Today we are discussing question and answers for Splunk Core Certified Consultant SPLK 3003. If you find this content helpful, please like, comment and subscribe. To find the complete list of question and answers, please go to the playlist link provided in the description. A customer has a new set of hardware to replace their aging indexers. What method would reduce the amount of bucket replication operation during the migration processes? Option A. Disable the indexing ports on old indexers. Option A. B. Disable replication ports on the old indexers. Option C. Put the old indexers into manual detention. Option D. Put old indexers into automatic detention. The correct answer is option D. When the bucket rolls from cold to frozen in a clustered indexer, which of the following scenarios occurs? Option A. All replicated copies will be rolled to frozen, original copies will remain. Option B. Replicated copies of the bucket will remain on all other indexers and the cluster master CM assigns a new primary bucket. Option C. The cluster rolls to frozen on all clustered indexers simultaneously. Option D. Nothing. Replicated copies of the bucket will remain on all other indexers until a local retention rule causes it to roll. The correct answer is option B. The site from the multi-site indexer cluster needs to be decommissioned. Which of the following actions must be taken? Option A. Nothing. Decommissioning a site is not possible. Option B. Create an alias for where the new data should be sent. Option C. Remove the site from the list of available sites. Option D. Remove the site from the list of available sites and create an alias for where the new data should be sent. The correct answer is option D. A customer wants to implement LDAP because managing local Splunk users is becoming too much for an overhead. What configuration details are needed from the customer to implement LDAP authentication? Option A. API Python script with PAM radius details. Option B. LDAP server, port, blind user credentials, path to groups, path to server. Option C. LDAP server, port, blind user credentials, base TN for groups, base TN for users. Option D. LDAP REST details, base TN for groups, base TN for users. The correct answer is option C. Moving towards the next question. A customer has a search cluster SHC of 6 members split evenly between the two data centers DC. The customer is concerned with the network connectivity between the two DCs due to frequent outages. Which of the following is true as it relates the SHC resiliency when the network outage occurs between the two DCs? Option A. The SHC will function as expected, as the SHC deployer will become the new captain until the new communication is restored. Option B. The SHC will stop all scheduled search activity within the SHC. Option C. The SHC will function as expected, as the minimum required number of nodes for the SHC is 3. Option D. The SHC will function as expected, as the SHC captain will fall back to previous active captain in the remaining site. The correct answer is option D. Our next question is, a script input sends data to the Splunk forwarder using which method? Option A, UDP stream. Option B, TCP stream. Option C, temporary file. Option D, stirred out stder. The correct answer is option C. Our next question is, a customer wants to understand how Splunk bucket types hot, warm, cold impact search performance within their environment. Their indexers have a single storage device for all data. What is the proper message to communicate to the customer? Option A. The bucket types hot, warm or cold have the same search performance characteristics within the customer's environment. Option B. While hot, warm and cold buckets have the same search performance characteristics within the customer's environment due to their optimized structure, the third buckets are the most performant. Option C. Searching hot and warm buckets result in best performance because by default the cold buckets are miniaturized by the removing TSIDX files to save on storage cost. Option D. Because the cold buckets are written to a cheaper, slower storage volume, they will be slower to search compared to hot and warm buckets, which are written in solid state disk SSD. The correct answer is option D. Our next question is, an index receives approximately 50 GB data per day per indexer at an even consistent rate. The customer would like to keep this data searchable for minimum of 30 days. In addition, they have hourly scheduled searches that processes the week worth of data and are quite sensitive to search performance. Given idle conditions, no restarts nor drops, bursts in data volume, and the following PS best practices. Which of the following sets of indexes.conf settings can be leveraged to meet the requirements? Option A. Frozen time period in seconds, max date size, max volume data size MB, max hot buckets. Option B. Max data size, max total data size MB, max hot buckets, max global data size MB. Option C. Max data size, frozen time period in second, max volume data size MB. Option D, present time period in second, max warm DBC count, home path max data size MB, max hot span seconds. The correct answer is option B. Today we are discussing question and answers for Splunk Core Certified Consultant SPLK 3003. If you find this content helpful, please like, comment and subscribe. To find the complete list of question and answers, please go to the playlist link provided in the description. In an environment that has indexer clustering, the monitoring console MC provides dashboards to monitor environment health as the environment grows over time and new indexers are added. Which steps would ensure the MC is aware of the additional indexers? Option A, no changes are necessary. Option B, the monitoring console has self-configuration capabilities. Option B, using the MC setup UI, review and apply the changes. Option C, remove and re-add the cluster master from the indexer clustering UI page to add new peers and then apply the changes under the MC setup UI. Option D, each new indexer needs to be added using the distributed search UI. Then settings must be saved under the MC setup UI. The correct answer is option B. Moving towards the next question. In addition to the normal responsibilities of the search header cluster captain, which of the following is the default behavior? Option A, the captain is not the cluster member and does not perform normal search activities. The captain. Option B, the captain is the cluster member who performs normal search activities. Option C, the captain is not the cluster member but does not perform normal search activities. Option D, the captain is the cluster member but does not perform normal search activities. The correct answer is option B. Our next question is, what happens to the indexer cluster when the indexer cluster master CM runs out of the disk space? Option A warm standby CM needs to be brought online as soon as possible before an indexer has an outage. Option B, the indexer cluster will continue to operate as long as no indexers fails. Option C, if the indexer cluster has site failover configured in the CM, the second cluster master will take over. Option D, the indexer cluster will continue to operate as long as replacement CM is deployed within 24 hours. The correct answer is option C. Our next question is, which event processing pipeline contains the regex replacement processor that would be called upon to run event masking routines on events as they are ingested? Option A, merging pipeline. Option B, indexing pipeline. Option C, typing pipeline. Option D, parsing pipeline. The correct answer is option A. Our next question is, which statement is correct? Option A, in general, Search commands that can be distributed to the search peers should occur as early as possible in a well-tuned search. Option B. As a streaming command, the stream stats performs better than stats since stats is just a reporting command. Option C. When trying to reduce a search results to unique elements, the dedup commands is the only way to achieve this. Option D. Formatting commands such as field format should occur as early as possible in the search to take full advantage of the often larger number of search pairs. The correct answer is option D. Our next question is, a non-ES customer has a concern about data validity during a disaster recovery event. Which of the following Splunk validated architectures SVAS should be recommended for that use case? Option A, topology category code M4. Option B, topology category code M14. Option C, topology category code C13. Option D, topology category code C3. The correct answer is option B. Our next question is, a universal forwarder UF should be used whenever possible as it is smaller and more efficient. In which of the following scenarios would a heavy forwarder HF be more appropriate choice? Option A, when a predictable version of Python is required. Option B, when filtering 10 to 15% of incoming events. Option C, when monitoring a log file. Option D, when running a script. The correct answer is option B. Our next question is, when monitoring and forwarding events collected from a file containing unstructured textual events, what is the difference in the Splunk to Splunk payload traffic sent between a universal forwarder UF and an indexer compared to the Splunk to Splunk payload sent between a heavy forwarder HF and the indexer layer? Assume that the file is being monitored locally on the forwarder. Option A, the payload format sent from the UF versus the HF is exactly the same. The payload size is identical because they are both sending 64K chunks. Option B, the UF sends the stream of data containing one set of metadata fields to represent the entire stream, whereas the HF send individual events, each with their own metadata fields attached, resulting in a larger payload. Option C, the UF will generally send the payload in the same format, but only when the source type is specified in the inputs.conf and event underscore breaker underscore enable is set to true. Option D, the HF sends a stream of 64K TCP chunks with one set of metadata fields attached to represent the entire stream, whereas the UF sends individual events, each with their own metadata fields attached. The correct answer is option B. Today we are discussing question and answers for Splunk Core Certified Consultant SPLK 3003. If you like this content helpful, please like, comment and subscribe. To find the complete list of question and answers, please go to the playlist link provided in the description. A customer has the following Splunk instance within their environment. An indexer cluster consisting of the cluster master, master node and 5 clustered indexers, 2 search heads, no search head clustering, a deployment server and a license master. The deployment server and license master are running on their own single purpose instance. The customer would like to start using the monitoring console MC to monitor the whole environment. On the MC instance, which instance will need to be configured as the distributed search peers by specifying them via the UI using the settings menu. The options are option A, just the cluster master node, option B, indexer, search heads, deployment server, license master, cluster master, master node. Option C, search heads, deployment server, license master, cluster master, master node. Option D, deployment server, license master. The correct answer is option C. Our next question is, what does Splunk do when it indexes events? Option A, extracts the top 10 files. Option B, extracts metadata fields such as host, source types. Option C, performs parsing, merging and typing processes on universal forwarders. Option D, create report acceleration summaries. The correct answer is option B. Our next question is, what is the default push mode for the search head cluster deployer app configuration bundle? Option A, full. Option B, merged underscore to underscore default. Option C, default underscore only. Option D, local underscore only. The correct answer is option B. Our next question is, in which of the following scenarios is the sub-search the most appropriate? Option A, when joining results from multiple indexes. Option B, when dynamically filtering hosts. Option C, when filtering indexed fields. Option D, when joining multiple large databases. The correct answer is option A. Our next question is, a customer has implemented their own role-based access control RBAC model to attempt to give the security team different data access than operations team by creating two new Splunk roles, security and operations. In the search indexes allowed settings of authorized.conf, they specified the network index under the security role and the operations index under the operations role. The new roles are set up to inherit the default user role. If the new user is created and assigned to the operations role only, which indices will the user have access to search? Option A, operations network underscore internal underscore audit. Option B, operations. Option C, no indexes. Option D, operations network. The correct answer is option A. Our next question is, the customer would like Splunk Splunk to delete files after they have been ingested. The universal forwarder has read-write access to the directory structure. Which input type would be the most appropriate to use in order to ensure files are ingested and then deleted afterwards? Option A, script. Option B, batch. Option C, monitor. After option D, FS change. The correct answer is option B. In which directory should base configuration apps be placed to initialize an indexer? Please have a look at the options. The correct answer is option B. Our next question is, as the best practice, which of the following should be used to ingest data on clustered indexers? Option A, monitoring via a process, collecting data modular inputs from remote systems or applications. Option B, modular inputs, HTTP event collector HEC, inputs.conf monitor stanza. Option C, actively listening on ports, monitoring via a process, collecting data from remote systems or applications. Option D, Splunk TCP, Splunk TCP SSL, HTTP event collector HEC. The correct answer is option B. Our next question is, when adding a search head to a search head cluster SHC, which of the following scenarios occur? Option A, a new search head connects to the captain and replaces any recent configuration changes to bring it up to date. Option B, the new search head connects to the deployer and replaces any recent configuration changes to bring it up to date. Option C, the new search head connects to the captain and pulls the most recently deployed bundle. It then connects to the deployer and replaces any recent configuration changes to bring it up to date. Option D, the new search head connects to the deployer and pulls the most recently deployed bundle. It then connects to the captain and replaces any recent configuration changes to bring it to date. The correct answer is option C. Our next question is, a customer wants to migrate from Splunk local accounts to use Active Directory with LDAP for their Splunk user accounts instead. Which configuration files must be modified to connect to an Active Directory LDAP provider? Option A, authentication.conf, authorize.conf, ldap.conf. Option B, authentication.conf, ldap.conf. Option C, authentication.conf. Option D, authorize.conf, authentication.conf. The correct answer is option C. Today we are discussing question and answers for Splunk Core Certified Consultant SPLK 3003. If you like this content helpful, please like, comment and subscribe. To find the complete list of question and answers, please go to the playlist link provided in the description. In preparation for the deployment of a new environment for a customer, which of the following mappings are correct per PS best practices? Please have a look at the options. This is option A. This is option B. This is option C. This is option D. The correct answer is option B. Moving towards the next question. Which of the following statement is true as it pertains to search head clustering SHC? SHC is supported on AIX, Linux and Windows operating system. Option A. Maximum number of nodes for SHC is 10. Option B. SHC members must run on the same hardware specifications. Option C. Minimum number of nodes for the SHC is 5. The correct answer is option B. Moving towards the next question. Where are Splunk data model acceleration DMA summarized stored? Option A. In tstats home path. Option B. In the .tsidx files. Option C. In summary home path. And option D. In journal.gz. The correct answer is option A. Moving towards the next question. Where can the search job inspector be used to debug searches? Option A. If the search has not expired. Option B. If the search is currently running. Option C. If the search has been queued. And option D. If the search has expired. The correct answer is option A. Moving towards the next question. The Splunk indexer cluster is being installed and the indexers needs to be configured with the license master. After the customer provides the name of the license master, what is the next step? Option A. Enter the license master configuration via Splunk Web on each indexer before disabling Splunk Web. Option B. Update opt Splunk etc master apps underscore cluster default server.conf. Option C. Update the Splunk PS base configurations license app and copy to each indexer. Option D. Update the Splunk PS base configurations license app and deploy via the cluster master. The correct answer is option C. Moving towards the next question. The customer has 3 users and is planning to ingest 250 GB of data per day. They are concerned with search uptime, can tolerate up to a 2-hour downtime for the search tier, and wants to advise on single search head versus each head cluster SHC. Which recommendations is the most appropriate? Option A. The customer should deploy 2 active search heads behind the load balancer to support HA. Option B. The customer should deploy a SHC with the single member for HA. More members can be added later. Option C. The customer should deploy a SHC because it will be required to support the high volume of data. And option D. The customer should deploy a single search head which is warm standby search head and an rsync process to synchronize configurations. The correct answer is option D. Our next question is, which of the following is the most efficient search? Please have a look at the options. The correct answer is option B. Our next question is, consider the search shown below. Please have a look. What is this search intended function? Option A, to return all the web underscore log events from the web index that occur 2 hours before and after the most recent high severity denied event for the firewall index. The B, to find all the denied high severity events in the firewall index and use those events to further search for lateral movement within the web index. Option C, to return all the web underscore log events from the web index that occur 2 hours before and after all high severity denied events found in the firewall index to search the firewall index for web logs that have been denied and are of high severity. The correct answer is option C. Our next question is, when setting up a multi-site search head and indexer cluster, which nodes are required to declare site membership? Option A, search head cluster members, deployer, indexer, cluster master. Option B, search head cluster members, deployment server, deployer, indexer, cluster master. Option C, all Splunk nodes, including forwarders, must declare site membership. Option D, search head cluster members, indexers, cluster master. The correct answer is option D. Today we are discussing question and answers for Splunk Core Certified Consultant SPLK 3003. If you like this content, please like, comment and subscribe. To find the complete list of question and answers, please go to the playlist link provided in the description. Our first question is, how does Monitoring Console MC initially identify the server roles of a new Splunk instance? Option A, the MC uses the REST endpoint to query the server. Option B, roles are manually assigned within the MC. Option C, roles are read from testsearch.conf. Option D, the MC assigns all possible roles by default. The correct answer is option C. Moving towards the next question. The customer has asked a 5-node search head cluster SHC but does not have the storage budget to use a replication factor greater than 2. They would like to understand what might happen in terms of the user's ability to view historic scheduled search results if they log on to a search head which does not contain one of the two copies of the given search artifact. Which of the following statement best describes what would happen in this scenario? Option A, the search head that the user has logged onto will proxy the required artifact over to itself from a search head that currently holds a copy. A copy will also be replicated from the search head permanently so it is available for future use. Option B. Because the dispatch folder containing the search results is not present on the search head, the user will not be able to view the search results. Option C. The user will not be able to see the results of the search until one of the dispatched artifacts across all search heads. Option D. The user will not be able to see the results of the search until the Splunk administrator issues the applies cluster bundle command on the search head deployer, forcing synchronization of all dispatched artifacts across all search heads. The correct answer is option A. Monitoring console MC Health Check configuration items are stored in which configuration file? Option A healthcheck.conf, option B alert_actions.conf, option C discharge.conf, option D checklist.conf. The correct answer is option D. Moving towards the next question. What should be considered when running the following CLI command with the goal of accelerating an index cluster migration to new hardware? Please have a look at the commands. Option A, data ingestion rate. Option B, network latency and storage IOPS. Option C, distance and location. Option D, SSL data encryption. The correct answer is option B. Which statement is true about sub-searches? Option A. Sub-searches are faster than other type of searches. Option B. Sub-searches work best for joining two large result sets. Option C. Sub-searches run at the time as their outer search. Option D. Sub-searches work best for small result sets. The correct answer is option A. A customer has been using Splunk for 1 year, utilizing a single all-in-one instance. This single Splunk server is now struggling to cope with the daily ingest rate. Also, Splunk has become a vital system in day-to-day operations, making high availability a consideration for this Splunk service. The customer is unsure how to design the new environment topology in order to provide this. What resource would help the customer to gather the requirements for their new architecture? Option A. Direct the customers to the docs.splunk.com and tell them that all the information to help them select the right design is documented there. Option B. Ask the customer to engage with the sales team immediately as they probably need a larger license. Option C. Refer the customer to answers.splunk.com as someone else has probably already designed a system that meets their requirements. Option D. Refer the customer to the Splunk validated architectures document in order to guide them through which approved architectures could meet their requirements. The correct answer is option D. Today we are discussing question and answers for Splunk Core Certified Consultant SPLK 3003. If you find this content helpful, please like, comment and subscribe. To find the complete list of question and answers, please go to the playlist link provided in the description. What is the primary driver behind implementing indexer clustering in a customer's environment? Option A, to improve silency as the search load increases. Option B, to reduce indexing latency. Option C, to scale out a Splunk environment to offer higher performance capability. Option D, to provide higher availability for buckets of data. The correct answer is option D. In a single indexer cluster, where should the monitoring console MC be installed? Option A, deployer sharing with master cluster. Option B, license master that has 50 clients or more. Option C, cluster master node. Option D, production search head. The correct answer is option C. A customer has downloaded the Splunk app for AWS from Splunk base and installed it in a search head cluster following the instructions using the deployer. A power user modifies a dashboard in an app on one of the search head cluster members. The app containing an updated dashboard is upgraded to the latest version by following the instructions via the deployer. What happens? Option A, the updated dashboard will not be deployed globally to all users due to the conflict with the power user's modified version of the dashboard. Option B, applying the search head cluster bundle will fail due to conflict. Option C, the updated dashboard will be available to the power user. And option D, the updated dashboard will not be available to the power user. They will see their modified version. The correct answer is option A. Moving towards the next question. A customer's deployment server is overwhelmed with forwarder connections after adding an additional 1000 clients. The default phone home interval is set to 60 seconds. To reduce the number of connection failures to reduce, what is recommended? Option A, create a tiered deployment server topology. Option B, reduce the phone home interval to 6 seconds. Option C, leave the phone home interval to 60 seconds. Option D, increase the phone home interval to 6000 seconds. The correct answer is option A. Moving towards the next question. Which of the following server.conf stanzas indicate the indexer discovery feature has not been fully configured? Restart pending to the master node. Please have a look at the options. The correct answer is option C. Our next question is, what is the Splunk PS recommendation when using the deployment server and building deployment apps? Option A. Carefully design smaller apps with specific configuration that can be reused. Option B. Only deploy Splunk PS base configuration via the deployment server. Option C. Use $Splunk underscore home etc system local configuration on forwarders and only deploy TAS via the deployment server. Option D. Carefully design bigger apps containing multiple configurations. The correct answer is option B. Our next question is, which of the following processor occur in the indexing pipeline? Option A. TCP out, syslog out. Option B. regex replacement annotator. Option C. aggregator. Option D. UTF-8 line breaker header. The correct answer is option D. Which configuration item should be set to false to significantly improve data ingestion performance? Option A. Auto underscore kv underscore JSON. Option B. Break underscore only underscore before underscore date. Option C. Should underscore line merge. Option D. Annotate underscore PUNCT. The correct answer is option C. Today we are discussing question and answers for Splunk Core Certified Consultant SPLK 3003. If you find this content helpful, please like, comment and subscribe. To find the complete list of question and answers, please go to the playlist link provided in the description. A customer has written the following search. Please have a look at the search. How can the search be rewritten to maximize efficiency? Option A. Please have a look. Option B and C. Please look at these options. Option D. Please have a look. The correct answer is option C. Moving towards the next question. How could a role in which all users must specify an index equal clause in all searches be configured? Option A. Set the authorize.conf setting search index default to no value. Option B. Set the authorize.conf setting search filter to no value. Option C. Set the authorize.conf setting search indices allowed to no value. Option D. Set to authorize.conf setting search job quota to no value. The correct answer is option B. Our next question is, In which of the following scenarios should base configuration be used to provide consistent, repeatable, and supportable configurations? Option A, for non-production environment to keep their configuration in sync. Option B, to ensure every customer has exactly the same base settings. Option C, to ensure settings that do not need to be customized to meet customer requirements. Option D, to provide settings that can be customized to meet customer requirements. The correct answer is option C. Our next question is, data can be onboarded using apps, Splunk Web or the CLI. Which of the following PS preferred method? Option A, create UDP input port 9997 on the UF. Option B, create the add data wizard to Splunk Web. Option C, use the inputs.conf file. Option D, use a scripted input to monitor a log file. The correct answer is option B. Our next question is, which of the following statement applies to indexer discovery? Option A, the cluster master CM can automatically discover new indexers added to the cluster. Option B, forwarders can automatically discover new indexers added to the cluster. Option C, deployment servers can automatically configure new indexers added to the cluster. Option D, search heads can automatically discover new indexers added to the cluster. The correct answer is option D. Our next question is, a data in Splunk is now subjected to auditing and compliance control. A customer would like to ensure that at least 1 year of logs are retained for both Windows and firewall events. What data retention control must be configured? Option A, max total data size MB and frozen time period in second. Option B, cold to frozen dir and cold to frozen script. Option C, Splunk volume and max total data size MB. Option D, Splunk volume and frozen time period in second. The correct answer is option A. Our next question is, what happens when an index cluster peer freezes a bucket? Option A, all indexers with the copy of bucket will delete. Option B, the cluster master will ensure another copy of the bucket is made on the other peers to meet the replication settings. Option C, the cluster master will no longer perform fix up activities for the buckets. Option D, all indexers with a copy of bucket will immediately roll it to frozen. The correct answer is option C. Today we are discussing question and answers for Splunk Core Certified Consultant SPLK 3003. If you like this content helpful, please like, comment and subscribe. To find the complete list of question and answers, please go to the playlist link provided in the description. When utilizing a sub-search within a Splunk SPL search query, which of the following statement is accurate? Sub-searches have to be initiated with the sub-search command. Option B. Sub-searches can only be utilized with the input lookup command. Option C. Sub-searches have a default result output limit of 10,000. Option D. There is no specific limitations when using sub-searches. The correct answer is option C. When using SAML, where does user authentication occur? Option A. Splunk generates a SAML assertion that authenticates the user. Option B. The service provider SP decodes the SAML request and authenticates the user. Option C. The identity provider IDP decodes the SAML request and authenticates the user. And option D, the user provides SP generates a SAML assertion that authenticates the user. The correct answer is option A. Which of the following server roles should be configured for the host which indices its internal logs locally? Option A. Cluster master. Option B. Indexer. Option C. Monitoring console MC. Option D. Search head. The correct answer is option B. Moving towards the next question, the Splunk validated architect's SVAS document provides a series of approved Splunk topologies. Which statement accurately describes how it should be used by the customer? Option A. Customers should look at the category tables, pick the highest number that has budget permits, then select the design topology as their chosen design. Option B. Customers should identify their requirements, provisionally choose and approve design that meets them, then consider design principles and best practices and come to an informed design decision. Option C. Using the guided requirements, gathering the SVAS document, choose a topology that suits requirements and be sure not to deviate from the specified design. Option D. Choose an SVA topology code that includes search head and indexer clustering because it offers the highest level of resilience. The correct answer is option B. Our next question is, in a large cloud customer environment, how many greater than 100 dynamically created endpoint system, each with a UF already deployed? What is the best approach for associating these systems with the appropriate server class for the deployment server? Option A. Work with the cloud orchestration team to create a common host naming convention for these systems so a simple pattern can be used in the server class.conf whitelist attribute. Option B. Create a CSV lookup file for each server class, manually keep track of the endpoints within the CSV file and leverage the whitelist.from the underscore path name attribute in server class.conf. Option C. Work with the cloud orchestration team to dynamically insert an appropriate client name settings into each endpoint's local deployment client.conf, which can be matched by the whitelist in server class.conf. Option D. Using an installation bootstrap script, run a CLI command to assign a client name settings and permit serverclass.conf whitelist simplification. The correct answer is option C. Our next question is, which of the following is the most efficient search A? Please have a look at the options. Option A, B, C and D. The correct answer is option C. Our next question is, a customer has 30 indexers in a indexer cluster configuration and 2 search heads. They are working on writing SPL search for a particular use case but are concerned that it takes too long to run for short time duration. How can the search job inspector capabilities be used to help to validate and understand the customer concerns? Option A. Search Job Inspector provides statistics to show how much time and the number of events each indexer has processed. Option B. Search Job Inspector provides a search health check capability that provides an optimized SPL query to the customer should try instead. Option C. Search Job Inspector cannot be used to help troubleshoot the slow performing search. Customer should review index equals minus introspection instead. Option D. The customer is using the transaction SPL search command which is known to be slow. The correct answer is option A. Our next question is, a customer would like to remove the output underscore file capability from users with the default user role to stop them from filling up the disk on the search head with lookup files. What is the best way to remove this capability from users? Option A. Create a new role without the output underscore file capability that inherits the default user role to assign it to the users. Option B. Create a new role with the output underscore file capability that inherits the default user role and assign it to the users. Option C. Edit the default user role and remove the output underscore file capability. Option D. Clone the default user role, remove the output underscore file capability and assign it to the users. The correct answer is option C. Our next question is, a working search head cluster has been set up and used for 6 months with just the native local Splunk user authentication method in order to integrate the search heads with the external Active Directory server using LDAP. Which of the following statement represents the most appropriate method to deploy the configuration to the servers? Option A. Configure the integration in the base configuration app located in SH cluster apps directory or the search head deployer. Then deploy the configuration to the search head using the Splunk apply sh bundle command. Option B. Log on to each search using a command line utility, modify the authentication.conf and authorize.conf files in base configuration apps to configure the integration. Option C. Configure the LDAP integration in one search head using the setting access controls authentication method and settings, access controls, role Splunk UI menus. The configuration setting will replicate to the other nodes in the search head cluster, eliminating the need to do this in the other search heads. Option D. On each search head, login and configure the LDAP integration using the settings, access controls, authentication method, and settings, access controls, role Splunk UI means. The correct answer is option C. Today we are discussing question and answers for Splunk Core Certified Consultant SPLK 3003. If you like this content, please like, comment and subscribe. To find the complete list of question and answers, please go to the playlist link provided in the description. A new search head cluster is being implemented. Which is the correct command to initialize the deployer node without restarting the search head cluster peers? Please have a look at the options. The correct answer is option A. What is required to set up the HTTP event collector HEC? Option A. Each HEC input requires a unique name but token values can be shared. Option B. Each HEC inputs requires an existing forwarder output groups. Option C. Each HEC input entry must contain a valid token. Option D. Each HEC input requires a source name field. The correct answer is option C. Our next question is, in the diagrammed environment shown below, the customer would like the data read by the universal forwarder to set up indexed field containing the UFS host name. What would be the parsing configuration need to be installed for this work? Please have a look at this diagram. Option A, all universal forwarders. Option B, only the indexers. Option C, all heavy forwarders. Option D, on all parsing Splunk instances. The correct answer is option D. Moving towards the next question. Report acceleration has been enabled for the specific use case. In which bucket location is the corresponding CSV file located? Option A, hard path. Option B, summary home path. Option C, TS stats home path. Option D, home path, cold path. The correct answer is option B. Which command is most efficient in finding paths for SYMM key for the index cluster? Please have a look at the options. The correct answer is option D. Where does the Bloom filter reside? The options are, please have a look. The correct answer is option C. A customer is having issues with the truncated events greater than 64 key. What configuration should be deployed to the Universal Forwarder UF to fix the issue? Option A, none. Splunk default configuration will process the events as needed. The UF is not causing truncation. Option B, configure the best practice magic 6 or great 8 props.conf settings. Option C, event underscore breaker underscore enable and event underscore breaker regular expression settings per source type. Option D, goal global event underscore breaker underscore enable and event underscore breaker regular expression settings. The correct answer is option C. Our next question is, a customer has a service device that transmits log directly with UDP or TCP over SSL. Using PS best practices, which ingestion method should be used? Option A, open a TCP port with SSL on a heavy forwarder to parse and transmit the data to the indexing tier. Option B, open a UDP port on a universal forwarder to sparse and transmit the data to the indexing tier. Option C, use a syslog server to aggregate the data to files and use a heavy forwarder to read and transmit the data to the indexing tier. Option D, use a syslog server to aggregate the data to files and use a universal forwarder to read and transmit the data to the indexing tier. The correct answer is option D. As data enters the indexer, it proceeds through a pipeline where event processes occurs. In which pipeline does line breaking occur? Option A, indexing. Option B, typing. Option C, merging. Option D, parsing. The correct answer is option D. Moving towards the next question. A customer has a multi-site cluster, two sites, each site in its own data center and user experiencing a slow response when searches are run on search heads located on either site. The search job inspector shows the delay is being caused by search heads on either site waiting for results to be returned by indexers on the opposing side. The network team has confirmed that there is limited bandwidth available between the two data centers. Which of the following geographic locations with which of the following could be the least expensive and easiest way to improve search performance? Option A, configure site underscore search underscore factor to ensure a searchable copy exists in the local site for each search head. Option B. Move all indexers and search heads in one of the data centers into same site. Option C. Install a network pipe with more bandwidth between the two data centers. Option D. Set the site setting on each indexer in the server.conf clustering stanza to be same for all indexers regardless of site. The correct answer is option A. Moving towards the next question. The customer is using a regex to whitelist access logs and secure logs from a web server, but only the access logs are being ingested. Which troubleshooting resource would provide insight into why the secure logs are not being ingested? Option A. List monitor. Option B. One shot. Option C. BT probe. Option D. Tailing processor. The correct answer is option B. Our next question is, a customer with a large distributed environment has blacklisted a large lookup from the search bundle to decrease the bundle size using discharge.conf. After this change, when running searches utilizing the lookup that was blacklisted, they see error messages in the Splunk search UI stating the lookup files does not exist. What can the customer do to resolve the issue? Option A. The search needs to be modified to ensure the lookup commands specifies parameter local equals true. Option B. The blacklisted lookup definition stanza needs to be modified to specify settings allow underscore caching equals true. Option C. The search needs to be modified to ensure the lookup command specified parameter blacklist equals false. Option D. The lookup cannot be blacklisted, the change must be reverted. The correct answer is option A. Today we are discussing question and answers for Splunk Core Certified Consultant SPLK 3003. If you find this content helpful, please like, comment and subscribe. To find the complete list of question and answers, please go to the playlist link provided in the description. A customer has a universal forwarder UF with an inputs.conf monitoring its Splunk d.log. The data is sent through a heavy forwarder to an indexer. Where does the indexer time parsing occur? Option A. Indexer. Option B. Universal forwarder. Option C. Search head. Option D. Heavy forwarder. The correct answer is option D. Moving towards the next question. The customer wants to migrate their current Splunk indexer cluster to new hardware to improve indexing and search performance. What is the correct process and procedure for this task? Option A. First, install new indexer. Second, configure indexer into the cluster as peers. Ensure they receive the same configuration via the deployment server. Third, decommission old peers one at a time. Fourth, remove old peers from the CM's list. Fifth, update forwarders to forward to the new peers. Option B. First, install new indexer. Second, configure indexers into the cluster as peers. Ensure they receive the cluster bundle as the same configuration as original peers. Third, decommission old peers one at a time. Fourth, remove old peers from the CM's list. Fifth, update forwarders to forward to the new peers. Option C. First, install new indexers. Second, configure indexers into the cluster as peers. Ensure they receive the same configuration via the deployment server. Third, update forwarders to forward to the new peers. Fourth, decommission old peers one at a time. Fifth, restart the cluster master CM. Option D. First, install new indexers. Second, configure indexers into the cluster as peers. Ensure they receive the cluster bundle as the same configuration as original peers. Third, update forwarders to forward to the new peers. Fourth, decommission old peers one at a time. Fifth, remove old peers from the CM list. The correct answer is option C. Our next question is, consider the scenario where the var log directory contains the files secure, messages, cron, audit. The customer has created the following inputs.conf stanzas in the same Splunk app in order to attempt to monitor the file secures and messages. Please have a look at the scenario. Which files will actually be actively monitored? Option A, varlog secure. Option B, varlog messages. Option C, varlog messages, varlog con, varlog audit, varlog secure. Option D, varlog secure, varlog messages. The correct answer is option A.